Critics always hate the films we think are great, but only one appreciates them all. He serves us every day, he keeps the trolls at bay, though he may be a shade delusional. The shelter of his mouth is moist, he will not give you any choice. Agree with him or else, because he is the film defender. Where am I? Jeez, why am I stuck behind a tiny little bookshelf like this? This isn't fair. This doesn't make any sense. Wait, is that me? How is this wait, this was yesterday. Alright. Man, this thing's taking forever. Okay, I know what I gotta do. That video is way too long. Alright, we gotta find a way to make it shorter. Let me see if I can knock down the philosophy book. Then he'll know something's wrong. What the heck was that? Yeah, books are flying off the shelves. Alright. Weird. How about the Da Vinci Code? No, he's gotta work something out. Why does it keep doing that? Okay. Nice. Whatever. Wait. What?
Hard science.
Man, I thought I was smarter than this. Okay, one more try. What's a book that's freakishly long? Harry Potter 5. That book's like 1,000 pages. Okay, seriously? Seriously. 3? Let's see what the heck that is. Got it. He's coming over. These 3 books fell of their own accord somehow. We got a philosophy book, a mystery novel, and a young adult fantasy. So what is going on here? More to the point, how did they even come out? Sense. Wait a second. I know what to do. Just gotta get a notepad. Of course. Alright, here we go. Oh, don't mind that. So. Okay. Wait. Of course. It all makes sense now. Gotta make it longer. No, that's not. Longest episode ever. Welcome to episode 6, I have to use 2 hands now, of The Film Defender, serving the public good one underrated movie at a time. Today, I'm coming to the defense of Interstellar, a movie that is so ambitious and thought-provoking that it polarized movie audiences and made even Nolan fans turn against the film. Irrationally, I might add. Seriously, I've heard people say that there's nothing redeemable about this movie. Do you realize how ridiculous that statement is? Before I even get into these specific complaints, let me go ahead and highlight just a few of the remarkable things about this movie that people seem to be overlooking, inexplicably. The amazing Oscar-nominated score by Hans Zimmer. The gorgeous cinematography, where they literally mounted IMAX cameras to the front of jets and flew it around in order to capture gorgeous locations at a high speed. There were brilliant and subtle themes of time used throughout the production, including the score, the design of the Endurance itself, the watch that's left behind that eventually becomes a big part of the plot later on, relativity, which explores the different speeds at which time passes depending on your proximity to a gravitational anomaly, incredible acting by a cast of Oscar-nominated and winning performers, intense action scenes like this one. An original script and an ambitious story we've never seen before. A positive portrayal of scientists with ethnic and gender diversity to boot. And award-winning visual effects that literally show us phenomena we would never be able to see otherwise. So what is there to complain about? Well, Let's get into it. Objection number 1. Does it really need to be almost 3 hours long? Yes. You need more? Unlike its recent counterpart, Gravity, Interstellar is not a story that can be told in 90 minutes. There are complex emotions and stakes involved. And in order to set all that in motion and explore the galactic themes posited in this film, Christopher Nolan needed a larger canvas with which to work. It takes time to set up a character's past, establish character motivations that will drive the protagonist throughout the adventure, and visit 3 separate planets that have potential for human habitation. And were this simply a travelogue of their journey, maybe we could just skip past the character scenes. But this is a narrative. That means there are people we care about with desires and emotions and struggles that make this story come to life. It comes down to expectation. If you go on a journey willingly, you're going to enjoy it and not really notice the time ticking by. Once the story gets going, it's astounding how quickly it moves along. Plus, as Christopher Nolan stated when asked about the length of the film, isn't it better that you get more bang for your buck by getting a longer film for the price of admission? Just saying. Objection number 2. There are tons of scientific inaccuracies. I always find it funny that the people critiquing this film for scientific inaccuracy are in no position to do so. I don't claim to be a scientist, okay? And therefore have no reason to think that I know more than the world-renowned experts who were heavily involved with the portrayal of science in this film. It still takes a few artistic licenses here and there, but even then it doesn't stray too far from what is theoretically in the realm of possibility. For example, the theory of relativity does indeed implicate that proximity to a gravitational monster like a black hole will distort time relative to less gravity-heavy locations, just as it's portrayed in this film. Sure, you can say that it isn't logical for them to entertain the idea of moving to a planet that orbits a black hole, but what choice did they have? It's not like the wormhole was giving them a ton of options. If you want to read more in depth about all of the science depicted in this film, go check out The Science of Interstellar by Kip Thorne. It's a fascinating read if you're interested. Objection number 3. Why did they place the wormhole so far away if they want us to leave? There are a couple of different ways you could interpret this, but it's obvious that Interstellar is a love letter to Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, in which a mysterious force pushes forward evolution once humans have reached certain landmarks. Perhaps in order to make the journey, humans needed to be capable of manned interplanetary travel on their own. Saturn is a long ways away, but so are the planets in the new solar system that they're venturing towards. They wouldn't be ready to explore those options unless they were at least capable of getting to Saturn without the help of fifth-dimensional beings. There are other more spiritual implications to be had, but I'll let you delve into those theories yourself if you so choose. Objection number 4. That speech about love is really stupid. I actually think it's pretty poignant to bring in a concept as universally recognized, but as scientifically untestable, as love when talking about hard science, a dying Earth, and the mysteries of the cosmos. Brand is drawn to the man she loves, just like Cooper is drawn to his children, and later to Brand herself, when he's taken into the at the end of the film. She wants to make that decision with full awareness of that bias. And as she says to Cooper, he won't be as objective when it comes to sacrificing the possibility of seeing his family for the greater good of the mission. This speech is all the more meaningful when you realize after seeing the film to the end that she was right the whole time. They would have found Edmonds on the planet that would have been a good substitute for Earth, and would have gone through with Plan B, repopulating the new Earth with a genetic variety of embryos. Of course, it seems predestined that they would have to find a way to make Plan A work, as that seems to be the MO of the mysterious beings who are guiding their expedition from afar. Anyway, my point is that that speech about love may seem out of place to some, but it's actually character motivated and fits well into the themes that Nolan is exploring. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to issue an early spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Objection number 5. Why did Dr. Mann go crazy on them if he was supposed to be so good? Dr. Mann, played incredibly by Matt Damon, is frequently touted as the inspiration behind the entire Lazarus mission, motivating 11 other astronauts to take up this suicide mission in order to save Earth. All of these volunteers, including Dr. Mann, were selected in part because of their lack of familial connections, knowing that in all likelihood they would be marooned on an inhabitable planet. But that was the sacrifice they were willing to make, at least in theory. After arriving on his planet and realizing for the first time that he was doomed to a solitary death on a distant and frozen wasteland, Dr. Mann had a bit of a panic attack. He even said himself that he never considered the possibility of his planet not being the one, and he falsifies his data in order to lure a team of astronauts to rescue him there. If you think about it, it takes a pretty demented person, whether he knew it or not, to convince others to go on a dangerous mission when he's certain that he will be the only one to survive it. Not only that, but he was one of the few who knew that everybody on Earth was going to die, and he was okay with that. Once he finally enacted his plan to kill Cooper and take over command of the Endurance, he knew there was no turning back. His emotional state was not exactly conducive to rational thinking, however, and it cost him dearly when he refused to adhere to the protocol for opening the airlock. Objection number 6. What is the deal with that ending? Can anyone explain it? I'll give it a go, but fair warning, this is not going to be brief. First, let's set the scene. Cooper had just detached from the Endurance in order to shed enough weight for Brand to get to Edmund's planet, being sucked into a black hole as a result. When his ship is assaulted by what appears to be some kind of stardust, he is forced to eject, falling into a kaleidoscopic labyrinth filled with images of his daughter's bedroom. At first, he's in agony, thinking he's stuck reliving his greatest regret for eternity, leaving his family to die on Earth. But then his radio miraculously kicks in and he's finally able to communicate with Tars, who helps him to think more rationally. Together they realize what they have to do, and Cooper provides his daughter with not only the coordinates to NASA, but also the last part of Professor Brand's gravity equation that will allow the people on Earth to escape and Plan A to succeed. Unlike a lot of time travel movies, Nolan worked hard to concoct a vehicle for dimension hopping that could theoretically happen, all due respect to the flux capacitor. Of course, that would require a being with access to fifth-dimensional space. Though Cooper postulates that future humans are behind it, there could be a lot of interpretations as to who these beings are. God, aliens, etc. But regardless of who's behind it, I believe the reason he was allowed to survive the singularity and be given the chance to communicate with his child via Tesseract was because, unlike Dr. Mann, Cooper was actually willing to sacrifice himself for humanity, which would surely be a quality these higher beings wouldn't take lightly. Now, it is stated that gravity is the only thing that is capable of traversing the dimensions of time and space. So the beings have constructed a means for Cooper to manipulate gravity through the dimensions. Why then was he only allowed to access Murphy's bedroom? Again, it goes back to what drives him. I take it that he was reflecting on that moment as he went to what was sure to be his death, and the fifth-dimensional beings took him there as a result.
But who going back to give himself coordinates is a paradox?
Look, you can't have time travel without paradoxes, and I think they're fascinating to consider. Cooper is even aware of the paradox as he realizes while in the Tesseract that he must give himself those coordinates in order to get to where he is now. It's a pretty common theory of time travel, and it's one that I personally subscribe to. This may be an odd comparative, especially since I haven't defended the Harry Potter series yet, but they use a similar depiction of time travel in
Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban,
which many people considered to be the best in the franchise.
So, how does older Murph know to go into the room?
Because, as they say, love can also transcend time and space. Before you roll your eyes, let me propose something that may help you understand why this may work. Truthfully, love can be categorized as a type of gravity, as it pulls people together both physically and emotionally. While it can't be measured, no one can deny that there's a tangible pull between us and the people that we care about. It was that pull that drew Murph back to her childhood bedroom. The wristwatch that Coop gave to her before he left was a great emblem of their connection, and it's the object that pulls her toward her father again, despite her previously bitter feelings. Cooper is also drawn to Brand after he leaves the Tesseract for the same reasons, and given what we've seen up to that point, I can understand why they end up together in the end.
Fine, but how did Cooper manage to escape the black hole then?
Again, these beings have access to 5 dimensions, which is how they can construct a wormhole for the humans to travel through in the first place. If you can accept that, it isn't much of a stretch to understand how they can take him to a place in time where he can be rescued and reunited with his daughter. By the way, that scene of them reuniting was a heartbreaker, almost as bad as their farewell scene. He missed Murph's entire life, and I totally get why she doesn't want her father, who she idolizes, to see her die of old age. Plus, the sudden presence of their inexplicably young grandfather might freak Murph's kids out a little bit. Sorry about the length of this video, but the amount of complaints against this film was such that I felt I had to go into depth in order to address them adequately. In closing, Interstellar is a gorgeous, emotional, mind-blowing, and exhilarating experience that requires multiple viewings to fully appreciate. The story, the science, and the relationships are unapologetically complex, but the destination is more than worth the journey. Interstellar's updated status: defended. What did you think of Interstellar? Whether attacking or defending, join the fight in the comments section below. Also, is there a movie you love that deserves a strong defense? You can email me at thefilmdefender@gmail.com, tweet me at thefilmdefender, or simply comment below and let me know what film you think deserves a strong defense. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more film defenses to come, and until next time, the defense rests. I'm feeling good, feeling good. Do I have good lighting? Not really. Is that necessary? Kind of. Okay, so I am recording this the day before Halloween, so this is the only time of year where this actually doesn't attract that much attention. Which is nice, because there are lots of people around today. Man, something all of a sudden gets in my eye right when I start recording. Alright, just because they're not noticing me doesn't mean it's not annoying when they drive by. Where they literally... what do they call it? The design of the Endurance itself, which is the design of the Endurance to replicate, or the Endurance itself, which is designed to, what's the word? To replicate, I guess. The Endurance itself, which is designed to appear like a clock face, with each of the airlocks acting as one of the numbers. Whatever, I'll figure that out. Relativity, which explores the different speeds at which time passes depending on your proximity to a gravitational anomaly. And were this merely a travelogue of their journey, maybe we could just skip past than the world-renowned experts who were heavily involved with Even though I'm reading it, it's taking forever. But I'll leave that to your own. What the heck is in front of my eye? Alright. Annoying. Why then was he only allowed to access Murray's bedroom? Though Cooper postulates that future humans are behind it, there could be a lot of Again, it goes back to what dries, which is how they can construct a wormhole so for the humans. Plus the presence of their inexplicably. The story, the relationships, and the science. The story, the science, and the relationships are unapologetically The story, the science, and the relationships are unapologetically complex. The story, the science, and the relationships are unapologetically complex. But the destination is more than worth the journey. But the journey is more than worth. But the destination is more than worth the journey. But the journey, the story, the science, and the relationships are unapologetically complex. But the destination is more than worth the journey.